Hello, footies. Welcome back to your latest dose of FIFA Ultimate Team podcasting goodness. We are Foot in Review, powered by footcoaching.com. It is Tuesday, June the 6th, 2023. My name is Dan Wimbush, otherwise known as Wimby. I am joined today by the scout, Nathan Downs. We've got lots to get into, including the Liga NOS Team of the Season, a brand new icon roulette. We've also got plenty of objectives, including one that has left us scratching our heads with the requirements. And we'll be talking about why you shouldn't be playing games modes you just don't like playing. So let's delve into it. Nath, welcome along, mate. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you, Dan. For those of you that are tuning in and watching the video, I have completely overgrown long hair. My beard's not been touched in about a week. I am in full festival mode. I'm off to Download Festival this week. Haircut's booked tomorrow to probably go as short as possible, so I don't have to actually use hair gel. Beard, I'm not sure, because Download people like to, the heavy metal, they like big, long beards. So, yeah, I'm feeling very, I'm in a good place. I'm quite happy. I'm quite excited. I'm also terrified that I'm 30 something. What am I now? 31. Going to a heavy metal festival. I'm not listening to heavy metal for a good sort of 10 years. So yeah, if you don't hear from me over the next, 2 or 3 weeks, then please send an SOS.
Mate, I'm very, very jealous. You're going to have a fantastic time. Metalheads are some of the friendliest people you will ever meet. Yes, you might get knocked down a few times in the mosh pit, but there's always someone to pick you up. So I very much look forward to debriefing you afterwards. But I've also hauled Nathan in front of a camera at it's 9:45 on Tuesday morning as we record this. So I'll do a school run and we'll get the podcast in the can. So gives you an extra bit of excuse there. But look, speaking of slightly shabby, Liga NOS Team of the Season, Nate. we sat here last week and we had the Superliga Team of the Season, I think, to talk about. At the risk of just, copying and pasting the audio from last week's show, I think it's pretty much the same, isn't there? There's one player that's taking, that's held any sort of value, and that's Pedro Gonçalves, who is around 530k. Everybody else is below 70k. Let's focus on the main man himself, then, Gonçalves. Can you see why this card is holding a value over 500,000?
Yeah, I mean, his position, he's got his shooting's 94, but his positioning's 99, his finishing's 99, 92 shot power, cracked, 93 pace with a very good split. So he's got 94 acceleration, 93 sprint speed, cracked, dribbling 97, everything's 96 and above, including 99 composure, unreal. Passing 94, brought it down slightly by his free kick accuracy at 85. So again, phenomenal. Physicality lets him down a little bit. He's got a 52 jump in, 71 strength, 78 aggression, but he's got stamina, so he'll run all day long. I think this is a great card, and it's that sort of old thing. If this was a La Liga card, if this was especially if it was a Premier League card, this will be 1.5 mil plus. I'm just going to check out what his ratings is. He's 5-star skills as well, 4-star weak foot. So yeah, I mean, when you look at some of the other players like this, I mean, you're talking Vinicius Junior almost. I think he's double fives, but that type of play. Marcus Rashford was 7 mil on release, and then I think he held about 4 mil. You've got the Rafael, who's about 3 mil now. There's not too dissimilar apart from the physicalities. But with the 71 defending, you can do a good job even as a wing back too. If you play the 5-back or 3-5-2 or whatever, I think this card looks fantastic. I can see why it's 500,000. Liga NOS is the only thing that's kind of holding this price back, I think, because there's not tons of top tier cards in that league.
Yeah, I mean, look, as John was saying on Friday's show, please ignore chemistry with this guy. If you can get, all you need is a Portuguese manager, and you've got this guy on one chem, and that is going to be enough. This, like you say, where is the weakness with this card other than heading accuracy and the fact he's 5'8"? So look, if you are playing if you play him on the wing and he's slinging a lot of crosses in, he's probably not going to, jumping 52 as well. Mm-hmm. So he is stuck to the floor, this chap. But other than that, absolutely sensational. He can pass, he can shoot, he can run, he can dribble. Absolute perfect winger, perfect cam. Someone nipping into the box, that 5-star skills as well, 4-star weak foot. I'd love to work this card in, and this will be one that I will do the Liga NOS guaranteed SBC this week. I think what is due out tonight, actually, on Tuesday. I will do it just at a chance of getting this card because I do think he is that good. So, look, GG's if you get him. I would probably chuck him on either an engine or a Hawk anchor would be. Let's see what I get with an anchor. Let's press the anchor button and see what you get. Okay, maybe not. Hawk or an engine is what I meant to say. He does become a 79 rated centre back there. You chuck an anchor on him. But I think I'd rather take the engine, which makes him a 98 cam or a 98 left winger. Really good, fun card to use. And Nathan, as much as, I talked about it's been maybe a bit of a shabby squad, there are actually some nice players in here that, will fly under the radar in terms of, just because their prices are low. I mean, Gonzalo Ramos is the second highest rated player in terms of price. He's 69k as well. Again, just a decent looking striker, 5-star skills, 4-star weak foot. The only thing that really hurts this card for me and why I probably wouldn't be playing him through the middle is that 81 composure. That's just not good enough for me at this stage.
Not at this stage, no. But I mean, you were seeing that sort of 4-3-2-1 kind of being out there. This would be a decent card in that. With the rest of his stats, you can still see that you would finish well. Maybe put a Hawk on him or something. I think might be quite tasty with him. So I think that's a good card. And like you say, this is weird. Sometimes, I think with the last time we were on the pod discussing one of the sort of minor leagues, we were saying, what's the point in having it? These are fillers. But there's actually quite a few tasty cards in this league, in this team. Not just the two that we've mentioned, but, special shout out, I actually packed Jal Mario. I've not used him yet. But he looks a very, very well-rounded card as well. Probably playing more as a cam or a centre forward. But again, I think for, was he 33k? Like, that's crazy for some of the stats on these cards, and they're not alone as well. I think there's some really good value in this. You can, especially if you're just starting, it's a very cheap beast type team, and they're definitely going to be sort of power for your pound in this.
Yeah, I was looking at because I ran on my second account, the newish account. I was running Medina and Todibo as my two centre backs, and I look at this Otamendi card for 29k, and I was looking. I think he's better than Todibo. And I'm wondering whether to try and slot him in. So my old friend Grimy as well. I always love Grimy at left back. Grimaldo.
Good old Grimy.
Got the additional left midfield slot. Spanish nationality helps him as well. That 99 pace, 92 passing. Very good left back. You can see why he's held a little bit of a price as well, at 50k as well. But I don't really think that there's a stink. It's funny because there's not even really a stinker of a card. I mean, you look at Taremi for 40k, again, that 95 composure, 4-star, the shot power being 95, finishing being 98, positioning 99. Yeah, the aggression's a little bit low at 56, but again, if you are building a team from scratch and you're trying to have a bit of fun, Taremi is easily a player that you can put in a squad that will get you 14 wins. Easily. And that is the beauty of all of these team of the season cards. The beauty and I suppose the curse of it, Nate, because we've spent so many months grinding for these players up through till May, and then a card like this comes around that for well, this card had come out in February or during the World Cup, millions, and now he's basically discard and fodder price at 40k. So have a go with some of these players. If you're looking to maybe finish off your rivals games, trying to get to those latest milestones level, give these guys a go, because I'm sure he'll have a lot of fun with it. As you mentioned, João Mario, how often, Hullet Gang plus with 4 stats in the 90 pluses, and he's down at 33k. So absolute, value to be had here. Anything to add on this team before we move on?
No, I think this is probably the best minor league team we've had. Like you said, I don't think there's any duds. I don't think there's much you can do wrong. I'll probably give João Mario a go because he's been pretty solid in FIFAs of yesteryear. I don't think that there's not many that I'd be raging that I packed. I got excited with João Mario. Didn't even realize he was in packs when I got him yesterday. I spent 400k coins on that pack. Did all right. Saw him come out, thought, here we go, I'm onto a winner. Didn't realize he was only about 40k at that time, and obviously he's gone down since. But I think it's been it's good, and we're, especially the two of us when we're on, we do manage to go down the rabbit hole of ranting about all things that are wrong. But I would say this is actually quite a good second team to have out, especially because everything's untradeable now. Value of players on 95% of these packs don't really matter because you can't sell them anyway. So some good cards, some good value for that.
Yeah, and I think one of the things that that when I first saw this team, again, it's only 8 players, which is a bit disappointing. I can't really understand the reasoning why EA have gone away from an 11-player squad. That still seems very strange to me. But I did think, this looks like a copy and paste from last year. But actually, we counted, isn't there? There's only 3 players from this team that were in the team of the season last year, in Taremi, Horta, and Grimaldo. And you do have one more as well, Otavio, who this year has been released as an objective player, Nath. We're going to talk about playing modes you don't want to play a bit later on, but this card, the only thing that will stop you getting this card naturally is it requires you to win 7 games with a Liga NOS player in your team. But if you can crowbar in a goalkeeper or a defender or something, or put Grimaldo in at left back, it should be easy enough to do. But Nath, this is a card that, while it's nice, you have no... Please do not bother in the slightest going out of your way to get this card. It is just not good enough.
No, in terms of your first team, and this is probably one of the weakest, the weaker players. I know we said there's no duds, but this, in my head, you have to work for this. It doesn't come out in the packs. The best thing you can say about this is it's very easy to get a 90 rated piece of fodder, which will save you some coins down the line. I mean, he's got very nice dribbling and very good passing, but apart from that, he's not ridiculous. Portuguese link, but yeah, don't go out your way. But some of the other players we've talked about, there's enough Portuguese players there and in other leagues that you could hybrid them in. Grimaldo's Spanish left back, so you can put him in. There's plenty of ways to do it, and we're just around the corner from silly season where you'll get lots of fodder, but you'll also get lots of high rated SBCs or sort of pricey SBCs, I would like to say. So it might be worth trying to do him just to stick in the club if you can combine it, or if you can just do it naturally. But I wouldn't go and say I have to do 7 specific squad battles just to get this one player.
No, especially while the weather is really nice and sunny outside. Please don't be forcing yourself to play 7 squad battles or do this. Please only do this naturally. It's just not worth it. But look, each their own. If you want to build a cracking Liga NOS team, please do. Speaking of cheap beast as well, Nath, the Serie A player that we had released last night is really, really nice. CDM Lobotka, Slovakian, 37k, 91 rated. The first thing that as soon as I saw the stats, the body type, the height and everything, first thing I thought of was N'Golo Kante. Can you see why that comparison's being made?
Yeah, absolutely. The only downside is his pace split is strange. He's 85 pace, but he's got 91 acceleration and 80 sprint speed. So that's strange, but defending... all in the 90s, apart from his head in at 75, he's got 87 sliding tackle, which most people don't really slide in anyway, unless you get those sort of kamikaze ragers. Got very good dribbling. He's Kante with cracked passing, I think, isn't he? Because his passing's at 91. So, and he's also got the work rates that I really like at a defensive mid, where he's got medium high, so you don't really even have to give him sets, sort of stay back instructions, whatever. 5'7", so he's probably going to be quite nippy. He'll be maybe a mix of Kante and Verratti, I'd say. So I think he looks quite good for 37k. Can't really go too wrong, even if you want him to come off the bench and try and shore things up. You could probably start him as well, but I think is he Slovakian? So it's not the easiest sort of player to hybrid into a team, but I think he looks pretty solid. And like I say, 37k, you can't really go too wrong with that.
Yeah, card, again, if you can get him, it's gone to kind of 1-2 chem, very, very usable. I was using him for a little bit in the cup last night. Very hard to tell because the cup is just very weird and you're not playing with a team you're very familiar with. But he felt good, and you talk about like the pace splits. I mean, Kante's pace split is 87 acceleration, 76 sprint speed. So there's an 11 difference there. And funnily enough, Lobotka's 91 acceleration, 80 sprint speed, and 11 pace gap there. So the comparisons are there. That 4-star is going to help. I mean, he basically outranks Kante in most things, except for perhaps interceptions 95 to 90. Kante has the edge, and Kante has the edge 97 to 90 in reactions. A slight boost in composure as well, but very comparable. Very, very easy to get this card knocked off. As I said, it costs you less than 40k. It's just one squad, and you need a minimum of 185 rated player and 84 rated overall squad. So I'm sure people will end up with some sort of a dupe this week. A very good place to put it, and a very useful player. Not just, I think, in like the cup and objectives. I legitimately think you could play this card in there. I guess, Nath, the argument people would have is, well, I could get Lobotka in my team or I could get Tonali. There's not a hell of a lot between the two. I mean, Tonali is, I think, a more rounded card and will offer you a bit more. He is also naturally a bit quicker. But can you see an argument why you would go for Lobotka over Tonali, or is this just a simple one to go for the Italian?
I mean, I'd go for Tonali over Lobotka if I packed him untradeable. But I'd rather go for the 30k player that you could throw a couple of dupes in it. It'll realistically not be much. It'll be a pebble in the ocean. 95k when you do have so many players coming out. It doesn't sound a lot, but this is the time to change your team around and try new players. So Tonali, to me, looks solid, but he's not something that I'm like, he's incredible, I must go and have him. Whereas I'd rather save those coins for a player that jumps out at us. And we'll discuss some players that we use later. Completely different end of the price spectrum, but there's been a couple of players this week that we've used that I think are head and shoulders. Go out, try them, get them for your team, because they will improve probably 95% of the squads out there.
Yeah. So again, this one is just one, kind of the opposite really to Otavio. I would say just get this player done and chuck it in your squad. I think he'll have good utility, certainly this week while Serie A objectives are in place. But I don't think you can ever go wrong for a player who is that cheap, especially when high-rated fodder is at the level it is right now. We go from cheap beast, Nath, to the most expensive beast I think we've seen for a while. The Champions League final objective got released, the Showdown. It's Correa versus Foden. Now, Correa obviously played for Inter Milan, 300k. They are the massive underdogs against City, going for that treble. Commiserations as a Man United fan, by the way, for the cup final.
Thank you.
Sorry, my friend. But, you got to an FA Cup final, won a cup and finished third, and my team got relegated to League One. So, whereas Phil Foden from the double winners Manchester City, 600,000 coins, Nath. I've seen this reviewed multiple times by multiple different streamers. Footbin had a review section out on one as well. The one common theme, I think that if you had to narrow this down in one word, overpriced.
Yeah, I mean, you look at, I've not looked into the reviews, but the thumbs up 454, thumbs down 3,114. So that says a lot. The community has spoken. He looks a solid card, and Foden's usually quite good fun to use. But 4-star, he's got crack dribbling like we thought he would. His passing's good, strength's horrific, 60 strength, 60 jump in. His defending's terrible, but you don't really use a Foden card for defending. But even it's meh, isn't it? We've used that word a lot recently, but nearly 600,000 for a card like this, very, very meh. You go over to the Serie A. I used I used Di Maria, who I don't like in real life, but that card is unreal, and he's probably just over half the price of this, or just under half the price of this. So, I know which one I would definitely be going out to get if I could. Even with his upgrade, I don't see this being a top tier card. You'd have it in for a week, and then something else will come out and replace that quite quickly, I think.
Yeah, Inception in his review, obviously Inception gets his reviews done. I don't know how he gets his reviews done so quick, but he does. His closing, the bit that stuck out from his review that stuck with me is he said that this card is absolutely dependent on what EA do with the upgrade, because they have been really stingy in the past and literally stuck it to +2s and +1s everywhere. And then other times they have juiced it and then given some like stats +3. And if they boost this card in the right place, they give it, +3 or +4 like strength and boost that up, and you get the reactions get a +3. That suddenly makes this a lot more of a different proposition. I always think Phil Foden cards are underrated. I used the gold card a lot in the opening weeks of this game cycle, and I was really impressed with him. And it's why I keep looking at this card, going, do I want to complete this on a gamble? Because I currently play Wayne Rooney as my basically floating attacking player in my 4-3-2-1. He sort of plays in the the midfield. He's the midfield. I've got N'Golo Kante and Bruno Guimaraes, who lock down all the defensive duties, and it kind of frees up Rooney to basically wander forward and play as a kind of a cam second striker. And I look at this Foden card, and yes, the strength isn't there, but he's got just about enough about him, Nath, I think, especially with the high work rates, to be able to fill some space when needed defending. And then going forward and sort of arriving late into the box. Again, the stats are in all the right places, but it's only with an upgrade I would really consider this card. And that's why it's such a massive gamble, because otherwise you're sat there with a 600k piece of fodder.
Yeah, even with the upgrade, I still don't think he's going to be head and shoulders above for very long either. To be fair, I don't think he'll be head and shoulders above anything, regardless, especially not at that value. But I don't think this is one that's going to last. I may be wrong. Like you say, they may give him a +10 in strength or something like that, which changes that, especially if you're going to play him as a cam that could help out. But it's not a card, and even with my Man United hat off, it's not a card that when it came out, I was like, oh, that's something I need to do. I need to either work him into my team or I must go out and try that. I just think it's a bit meh. It's just, and we've had quite a lot of special Foden cards over the years, haven't we? There's other players that just say, I think there's been other players that you could potentially get in from that City side just now that is unreal. The whole team's unreal just now, let's be honest. So I would like to see that mixed up a little bit. I know we've not had a Foden SBC, but we've had, over the last 2 or 3 years, we've had the road to the finals, we've had man of the matches, we've had the World Cup cards or the Euros cards, the silly green cards we had a couple of years ago. So I would like to see that mix that bit up a little bit.
Yeah, it's definitely, as much as I think that this card's got merit, it's so much, it's so many coins, and it's just a shame that they put such a card. Even if it is going to be great, like you say, there are so many great players for this amount of money. I mean, we look at the player we were talking about at the top, compare this, those two cards. I know which one I would rather have to cost 600k. I'd rather have Gonçalves than this Phil Foden card. But I don't want this card to be seen as completely useless, because I don't think it is. And I think that if this card does get the upgrade and EA are generous with that upgrade, this could be... he's borderline Neymar level, I think, in terms of that left stick ability and trickery. But of course, that 4-star is what will hold him back from being truly, truly elite. So I think it's an L on the pricing. I think, again, not giving this a 5-star in either skills or weak foot is also an L as well. I think EA are potentially wary that this card might be too good. I guess that's the other thing. If they did give it like a 5-star skills card, maybe it would be kind of not meta breaking, but too meta, and EA don't want to give away and make those kind of meta cards really accessible. We've seen it with like the icon pricing all year. They are very reluctant to give away top tier meta cards for cheap. So yeah, good luck if you're doing it. Am I going to do it? Maybe.
Don't do it, Dan. Don't do it.
Maybe. Well, speaking of things I shouldn't be doing, but I've done anyway, the 90 plus icon pick, Nath. I sat there, I looked at it, I knew it was a bad idea. I thought there's so many primes in here. But then I thought, well, I've got nothing else to do. I'm bored on my main account. I did it. 350k's worth of fodder later, including some club legends who made the pilgrimage to the great SBC heaven in the sky. I was presented with a 3-choice option of Claude Makelele Prime, Andre Pirlo Prime, and Sanchez Prime. Needless to say, none of them are getting into that main team. I almost wanted to just close the web app down and not even make a pick, but I went for Pirlo in the end. Have you done this excellent SBC?
I have, and I got absolute pelters from our Discord for my poll. Can't remember, was it late Saturday night or early Sunday morning? I did it out of pure boredom. My 3 options were Prime Butragueno, who's always nice, but he's not groundbreaking. Prime 90 rated Juan Sebastian Veron, which was nice for a United fan, but in terms of a FIFA fan, absolutely not. And I got a 93 rated Prime Cafu, who I said meh at. And I was a bit like, could be better. And I got absolute pelters for saying how good he is. Apparently he's very good in game, but I just went meh because he's not better than what I've already got.
Yeah, look, Nate's been in FIFA court before here. And this was the classic occasion of he's been pulled over by the FIFA cops for comments like that. And we've given him a warning. We've not dragged him to court. We've given him a warning saying, take this as a lesson, young man. Yeah, Caffey's brilliant. He's played 700 games for me at right back. I think he's absolutely fantastic. Can deliver a fantastic cross, well-rounded, can do what he needs to do defensively. I think the debate we were having, Nath, is he better than Hakimi? And I don't think he's better than Hakimi. That is fine, but I don't think that there is enough of a gap to make me think that I'm missing out by having Cafu instead of Hakimi. I think Cafu does everything you need, and he's got that little bit of icon sauce as well. So yeah, I think you pulled one of the, easily in the top 5 right backs in this game. So GG's.
Well, that makes me think about selling potentially Hakimi. The thing with Hakimi is that I can put him into centre mid or CDM as well when I drop Vieira into centre back. So yeah, I mean, we go back to my pack look. It's actually changed. I have complained throughout the whole cycle, but Tots has been very kind to me. Even with Serie A this week, I packed Di Maria on like the only saved pack that I had for this, and then I was doing the upgrade grand yesterday. Pulled a dupe Smolin, which was nice because the other one I'd bought, and then I ended up with a wonderful Jabala. So Tots as a whole has been kind. Got Benzema from this league. What was that, La Liga? Got Benzema. Got some nice cards. Not Benzema's probably my top one. I've not had any of the record-breaking top one like best players, but I can't really complain about Pat luck just now. I know others in our Discord have been really unfortunate, and the likes of Poor Ingvy's still on the hunt, and he's not had much luck at all. So I'm now getting towards that Dan Wimbush level of luck in my packs.
Yeah, I'll mention my pack pulls a bit later on. I've buried the lead, should we say? But yeah, the 90 plus icon pick. Look, I think this one falls very much into if you have got, funnily enough, I just think this is one that you'd only do if you have got a team the kind of level of ours, Nath, where you've literally got so many good players, and the only way you're going to improve it is by, getting a Hail Mary of a Trophy Titans Ronaldo, a Trophy Titans Vieira, Foot Birthday, Best, that kind of level of card that are in the kind of two, and I know you could afford them, but most people can't go out and afford that 4 million coin upgrade. And that's why I do it, because I know I'm probably going to get a stinker. And this is exactly why I'm not going to do it on the second account, because I don't want to put 350k into probably getting something terrible. There are lots of great SBCs like Paqueta, Correa, who we didn't even really talk about, as we'll circle back and talk about Correa in a second, but there are so many and lots of really good cheap icons like Perez, like Makalele. I'd much rather guarantee myself one of those players on the second account, but on the main account, all of those players don't really fit in anyway. So what am I putting my fodder into? Yeah, I could go for a long haul of something like Ronaldinho. I'm sure there's rumours of Eusebio and things like that to be coming, but for right now, I'm just going to gamble. Gamble didn't pay off, and that's what I would say to you. If you're in that position where only a 10 out of 10 player is going to upgrade your squad, go have a gamble. You never know what you'll get. But if you are looking, on the lower end of the scale and you're hoping for something that's going to get into that first 11 and it's not a God squad, I'd probably stay away from this one. But yeah, let's quickly circle back to Correa because we did skirt over him. Nathan, he's half the price. Inter, not very fancied for this. They've done amazingly well just to get to this stage of the competition. But I mean, a lot of people likes that 87 rated card that he had out during the World Cup. This one, again, it's got stats in all the right places. He's got 90 plus pace, shooting, passing and dribbling, 86 physicality as well, so he's stronger than Foden. He has been given that 5-star skills, 4-star weak foot as well, boosting up from his 4-4 before. So is this one you might consider doing just on the off chance that Inter, upset the odds?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not doing either of them because I've got players that kind of already fill that position. But I think this is a much nicer card and a much better price. And obviously, when I say nicer card, the price does factor into that. But if you're going to use him as a centre forward, as a striker, even maybe a wide cam as well, I think he's brilliant. Good pace, like you say, good shooting, good passing, great dribbling, good physicality. So there's not really a negative to this card, apart from the fact that maybe Inter Milan aren't fancied, and it's not cut and dry that City are going to win that game either. If you watch the game against United, they got leggy, they looked tired. United were naive. Inter are going to be clever. Italian football is always clever in terms of they can grind out results. It might not be as open and as attractive, but they'll be very effective. So it could go either way. The actual the final. I know we're a FIFA podcast, but this will come into it. So, City could blow them away, or that could be very tight. Inter could easily nick that. They could score and then go full Italian and sit back in. So, I don't think this would be 300k wasted in terms of an absolute dead cert. City probably will win it, as they should. They're the best team around. But this card looks amazing. If he gets the upgrades, and again, if they give him maybe even extra upgrades in certain areas, I think this could be a very, very good card that could last you a good few weeks.
Yeah, I think this definitely does need the upgrade. I don't like that. Again, I always bang on about composure. I don't like the 87 composure. 88 reactions isn't great either. The heading is pretty poor as well. So again, with 81 jumping and 82 heading accuracy, he is 6'2", which helps. The traits are nice. He's got that outside the foot. He's got that finesse shot trait as well. So look, if you do have an inkling that Inter are going to win and you're building a Serie A side, again, if I had the choice, am I going to gamble on an icon or am I going to gamble on this? If I was running a Serie A side, I would put my coins into this because I think that could be a real help. And I am, again, got a slight inkling. Maybe this is one I do put my fodder into on the second account just in case. But as it stands right now, it's not a must do for me. But, if you are the gambling type, go for it. So we've gone through, that covers pretty much all of the content, Nate. There was one thing, though, that was released last night that has left the gamer base a little bit annoyed. It was to coincide with the E-Champions League final that's happening this week as well. I think that's in Turkey as well. So they released this Champions League themed objective. Now, there's some good packs to get from it. I think there's like a 384 and bits and pieces, special kits and tifos and all that jazz. But the mode itself is a special friendly mode, Nate. And to get the objectives done, you have to have 3 Champions League players, which is just weird because, yes, we have had a couple of cards out this week for man of the matches that are in packs. But otherwise, people haven't been able to get hold of Champions League cards for months. So, no. And to suddenly then require 3, when most people have probably been long since lobbing these players into SBCs, just seems a little bit strange to me. And yeah, it just seems unfair.
Yeah, absolutely. Just to touch on the requirements, it's a maximum of 1 loan, minimum of 3 Champions League, road to the finals, man of the matches, or road to the knockouts. And like road to the knockouts, like the group stage is finished, December? So it was a long time ago. Most of them, you knew they weren't going to get any better, so a lot of them would have gone to SBC heaven already. Maximum of 3 heroes and icons and 5 games per day. So yeah, it's crazy, and they haven't updated the price range on any of these ones. So if you went on the market to buy them, they're all extinct because people have bought them into using the team. So there'll be a lot of people out there that can't do this. I was on the console earlier. There's not even an option for Champions League man of the matches. I think it's domestic man of the matches they call them. Is the only sort of type like that you could see on my quick glance anyway. So it's a very strange one, unless they're going to gift you maybe a player pick. They'll bring out an SBC potentially tonight where you can pack these players, which I don't see them doing, to be honest. It's just very strange. And I'm not going to say elitist because you don't have to be elitist to have, an elite player to have these cards, but it's what's the word? It's kind of alienating quite a high portion of the player base because lots of people won't get this, and the rewards aren't amazing. There's a few, it's at 385, 84 player packs and stuff. So, but they're still solid enough that people will want to do them for that extra chance at one of these lovely blue cards. So, I think it's poor. But again, I'm saying that on a quick dive into it, there may be things that I've missed. So if there are, then I'll apologise. But on first glance, it's quite tasteless to put something that's going to alienate so many people.
Yeah, especially a 784 plus is the final reward as well. It's quite a good reward to go for. So I think I looked in my main club, and I think I've got just enough by using 1 lone player. But yeah, it's not on it. But look, like you said, there might be an objective or something released this week that allows you to do it. So did you say the Showdown players counted?
No, it doesn't say anything about Showdowns on the menu.
Can't even get phone in there.
No, so it's not even like you could do both of these if you had enough players. It says on the menu anyway, Champions League, road to the final, man of the matches, or road to the knockouts.
Great, fantastic. Well, look, We wait and see, but if things stay as they are, that is, a little bit cheeky from EA. We're going to go into a couple of other talking points, our weekend league experiences. We're going to talk about playing modes you don't want to play, and we've got a couple of questions in our mailbag as well that our listeners have sent in. Of course, if you want to get your thoughts into us, you can leave them in our special room in our Discord. You get Discord access by signing up to our Patreon at patreon.com/foot in review. Lots of different tiers, lots of different rewards and incentives, coaching, discounts, merch, trading show access, all sorts of goodies, and plenty more to be coming as well. Of course, everyone gets access to the exclusive tactics that the likes of Nath work on as well throughout the year as well. So lots of goodies to be had there. Any information, any queries, again, patreon.com/foot in review. We'll come on to all of that. But Nath, let's start with the main sort of talking point that I wanted to bring up today. And this was brought to our attention by Captain Saveman from the Discord. He posted it over from the FIFA Reddit. And it was basically a PSA announcement of, if you're not enjoying a game mode, stop playing it. Just don't do it. And the thrust of the argument was, why it's a video game. Why are you going through stuff you don't want to do? Especially at this stage of the game where fodder is so, easy to come by and players are so cheap to get a really good competitive squad together. Why are you putting yourself through it? Nath, can you see both sides of this? Why someone would be saying, I have to put myself through short-term pain for long-term gain? And then can you see this argument from the other people that are just like, well, just walk away?
Yeah, I can see both sides. I mean, we talk about FIFA being quite an addictive game, and it is. Like, it draws you back in regardless of what people say. Like, there's always a bit of FOMO in it. I need to do that to get this player. Oh, I need to grind this mode so I can get the objective player that nobody's ever going to use. But, when World Cup Hullet comes out, you need an extra 92 rated player to add onto one of those big squads. So I see it from that point of view. I, in a way, have had it forced on me that I'm quite lucky that I don't have time to do every game mode through family life and work and everything outside. So I pick and choose. Weekend League being extended until Wednesday's been brilliant because I've actually been able to play Weekend League now, which I never did before, unless it was a Friday potentially, which was horrific because all the pros and all the elite players are on a Friday daytime. So I have to pick what I can do and what's good for my squad, my club, and all of that. So I wouldn't play a mode like I know that Squad Battles gets a hell of a lot of hate. It doesn't bother me. It's quite easy, especially if you put it on semi-pro. You can do what you need to do, put it down, and go on to something else. So there's ways around it. But if you had to play Squad Battles on, is it Legendary that's the top mode? I wouldn't sit and play 7 games on Legendary where you had to sweat probably more than you do in Rivals. I like Rivals. It's a challenge, and I do quite like bettering myself in Weekend League, which we'll come on to in a bit. I think it's been really good fun recently as well. So, people may think that I'm a FIFA apologist. I've really enjoyed the gameplay this year. I don't think there's been many. The cups are probably the one thing that I've not enjoyed as much, but the ones that I don't enjoy, I've just stop playing it. Like, if I've not had time, if I think it's going to be a squeeze, there's been a couple of them this time that's taken me to the sort of the Thursday to unlock because I don't get to play it until the Monday or the Tuesday. But if I'm running low, I'm like, well, it would be nice to get that guaranteed player. But at the same time, I'm not going to put myself through the mental anguish of trying that. So I can see both sides. However, through external factors, I only kind of fall into one category. But Dan, how about you? I know you've kind of got a little bit more flexibility in your timing. Does that come into things, or?
Yeah, I mean, it does. I think the FOMO factor was a lot, especially I think earlier in the cycle, I was very much thinking, I've got to get those 8 wins in. I was tearing my hair out a lot of times, especially when I was competing up in Elite. I've and going through these long rival sessions, and sometimes I'd be losing 2. Sometimes I'd be sat there and I'd play 8 games, I'd lose 6 of them. And you just get on a bad run and it just happens. And then you're chasing and your game, and I was really feeling that. It's funny, once I started this second account and stopped playing Rivals on my main account, I've just become so much more chilled. I just mostly play Rivals and playoffs. Sorry, not Rivals. I mostly play playoffs and Weekend League. Of course, like you say, you can play that. You can stretch it over a weekend now. So I've got 2 weekend leagues to play. I love the open matchmaking, the form-based matchmaking. Get a greater variety of games. I'm getting enough rewards. The clubs are ticking over. I can menu grind as well if I need to. And yeah, it's just so much better. I'm not grinding for these players, but I have a spare couple of hours. Like you, Nathan, I don't mind sitting there playing a couple of hours of squad battles. I'll chuck a film on, I'll watch something on YouTube, do something like that, and just pass the time. I think, other games have grind as well. I've been playing loads of Zelda. There are bits where I'm literally just running around, it feels like, for 20 minutes, not actually doing anything. So all games have that aspect of grind to them. So I don't, I'm not expected to be thrilled 24/7 by the game. And that's my only requirement for playing a game. I can deal with it. I think the thing that I would say to our listeners, and it was actually a comment made in that Reddit thread that really sort of resonated. A guy said, I used to be so stressed out that I had to get my rivals games in. And I was even passing up spending time with other people to do it. I stopped that and I haven't gone back, and my life is so much better. And I think that's the point I'd like to try and get out to our listeners here, that if you've got spare time and you're doing a game mode you maybe not necessarily love, but you're doing it as a means to an end, I think that's fine. I would just encourage people not to get stressed out and let it cut into their other time because you feel like you have to get it done. Yeah. Like if you're sat there and you haven't got your 8 rivals wins and you've had an offer from some mates to go out, don't pass that up. Or you have a rare chance to spend some time with the other half or your kids or whatever. Don't feel like you absolutely have to get this done or you're going to be missing out on something, especially at this end of the game cycle. In the first couple of weeks, would I say sometimes you have to make a few sacrifices? Maybe, but we're in June. We are in June, folks. So please go out and enjoy the sunshine. Don't feel that you have to get everything done, especially if you're not enjoying it. Like if you're having great fun playing all these different game modes, crack on. It's fantastic. And it's great that you're getting such value out of your initial outlay of 60 quid, 80 quid, whatever it was. Fantastic. But yeah, please don't put yourself through game modes that you don't want to be doing just for the sake of a pack that's probably going to have nothing in. That's
the thing. I mean, I put into our Discord after reading it. There's one sort of paragraph that stood out to me, and we see it quite a lot. Even we're all quite emotive when we get a pack that's crap. Let's be honest. I stopped myself having to use that explicit button on this pod, but some of the pulls have been terrible. But there's one guy that put, I'm seeing so many people saying, I'm done with this game after receiving a reward they don't like. If playing the game itself is not its own reward, then stop wasting your life. It's a game, not a job. And, we're all, it's a hobby. Apart from, John, it's his job. But I've never heard him complain. Sometimes he has a laugh saying, oh, wish my luck would turn, but there's never been any negativity from it. And that's it. I mean, there's a bit of a thrill about opening packs, isn't there? And seeing what rewards you get. And even when you do your red picks especially at the moment, you're all thinking, I'm going to get that Rafael, I'm going to get the Vinny or Mbappe or whoever. But at the same time, like, it's an escape from reality. That's what video games are. So enjoy it. And if you play for rewards, we always say if you play for rewards, you're just going to get disappointed because 99.9% of the time you're not going to hit the rewards that you're dying for.
Absolutely. So let's we're going to have our mailbag to complete the show, but just very quickly, we talked about our weekend experiences. Nath, you've been in that very fortunate position through your own hard work that you can buy lots of new players to try every week, some of these top end players that we can dream of. I know you've tried a few of them from this Serie A team. Talk us through your weekend league and your pluses and minuses.
Yeah, so I did a speed run yesterday. I was like, I didn't have time, so I was like, I'll play to 9. Ended up getting to 11 and 2, which wasn't too bad. Started off very sweaty, but because I hadn't played since I think it was Thursday, so once I kind of warmed up, it got really okay. I'm quite lucky. I'm changing my team pretty much every week. This week I bought in whatever the top Van der Sar is, who on one game especially I won, and I should never have won. He was just like a brick wall. He was like the guy who was at Dr. Ock from Spider-Man, where he literally just pulled out arms from anywhere. So he was brilliant. I did a wee sort of paragraph in our Discord. Theo Hernandez is exactly what you'd expect. Rapid, just very well rounded. Smolin and Tomori and the centre backs, they were very solid. They were brick walls. There were times they got cut open by the more nimble players, but when that happened, I just used the heavy tackle and just absolutely battered the player. So I'm just quite happy with that. Who did I have? I don't think I brought in Vieira into midfield, who is wonderful.
Was that the Trophy Titans one?
Yeah, it's the first time I've really got into him. As Shaq basically instructed me to buy him, and he was just pure class. So he was partnered with Renato. I bought, I packed Di Maria Untradeable, who I don't like because of his time at United, but his cards, was the World Cup or the flashback he had? He had a special card earlier, which was decent, and this card was really, really good. Really liked it. The way he moved, the way he kind of just got into little pockets. He came up with quite a few goals as well, so that was grand. But the main man was the new Victor Osimhen card, who is just stupidly good. And I don't understand why he's so much lower than the other top. I say top because he is a top striker. But he's price-wise, apart from the fact he's Nigerian, he's not got the 5-star skills. I probably got better output for him than I did on Mbappe, the new Mbappe or the Titans R9. He's actually probably more of an all-round striker than the rest of them because he has that frame. He's a cross between Mbappe with that pace and Erling Haaland with the physicality. Can't get the ball off him. The amount of headers he scored was just unreal. He just bullied every defender, including Van Dijk. He basically made him look like a little baby.
Wow.
The pace is unreal. The 5-star weak foot. He'd score goals from stupid angles that I've got no idea how he did it. I think I bought him on Sunday, so he was a bit higher than he is now, but I say if you've got a spare 3 or 4 mil, which sounds a lot, I know.
It's just down the back of the foot sofa, that is.
Not anymore. I've just wasted a lot of my flips have not worked very well this week, tonight. But if you can afford him and you can fit him in, he is probably the best striker I think I've used on the game. If he had 5-star skills, he would definitely be the best striker. But he is up there with Mbappe and Titans R9. And I also love that Haaland. So can't say highly enough of him. But if you can fit him in, definitely give him a go because he's a game changer.
I was going to say that is very high praise indeed. I was very lucky this week. Out of my Liga pack, I was very much expecting on the main account to get another Benjamin Andre. Imagine my surprise when Lionel Messi walked out. Well, he didn't even walk out because I was doing it on my phone, and I just literally sat back and laughed only because not 24 hours before, Nath, me and you were having a discussion. I said, it's like, if I got Messi, it'll be really annoying because in a first world problems terms, because I never really get on with Messi cards. Sure enough, 24 hours later, I get Messi. And do I get on with him? He is so good that even though I don't play to his strengths, he still does a really good job. He's replaced Player of the Month Mbappe on my side and did really well in my first week in league. I got 14 and 5 on both accounts this weekend, which from a personal point of view, I'm absolutely delighted with as someone that's a perennial 11-win merchant to sort of be knocking off 14 wins now. And that's partly due to the advice and stuff I've had from the fantastic, couple of sessions I've had with foot coaching, but also, all the guys that pop into my Twitch chat as well at twitch.tv/Wimby86, giving me advice and sort of critiquing bits and pieces I do sort of helps me. And also just being a bit more relaxed at this part, being not afraid to try the odd skill move that I've never really had in my game. So yeah, really happy. Messi, great. Do I think he's absolutely game breaking, brilliant? Personally, no, I don't think so. But I think he is obviously an elite tier card. But would I pay 4 million coins for him? No, I'd rather go out and buy Osimhen, who I think would make much more of a difference to a more average, like myself, a more average player. I think maybe if we're talking about 16 win plus, maybe things change. But tried him. The other player I got was Barella. Wasn't massively thrilled with him. I thought Bruno Guimaraes is a better all-round player. So I think Barella lasted about 6-7 games. I think he had 1 goal and 1 assist. And Bruno, within the first couple of games, had equaled and matched that playing in the same rest of the team. So that's my only other sort of real experiences this week. Rewards otherwise, again, I cannot possibly complain. I just got Lionel Messi. But the best of red picks on both accounts were Smalling and the Juventus centre-back Bremer.
Ooh. So
I just found it odd that out of, seeing 12 players, I think those were the 2 best options. I think I did see one Tonali, but I went for Smalling over him. So yeah, rewards. And in the team of the season packs, I did get, and the RTG got Di Maria in the 3-player pack. So can't complain too much. But yeah, the only thing I thought, Nathan, I wanted to bring up from Weekend League, and I know you're a 5-back rat, so was that your numbers are multiplying, sir. I faced many 5-backs And look, I joke that it's ratty. I don't like playing it. Mostly because I found in my experience that it makes for a duller game, because I just think it's harder to break that down. But also the players playing 5-back, a lot of them, unless they're at a kind of a good level, don't have a great variety of attacking patterns. It's all very similar and samey, and the game's just dragged for me. But I mean, you might have a different experience playing it.
Yeah, I mean, well, just looking at our Discord, and not to blow my own trumpet, but we put some out from our team, and people are saying, you know, they've never scored so many goals and different variety of goals. So you can play it in a right way, and there's so many different options that come up. So I reverted to that at times. The only way to really match a 5-back, unless you're a top level player, is the only way to face a 5-back is to match it with a 5-back. Otherwise, the full-backs overlap and just kill your 4 at the back. So, I've got one. Check out if you're in our Discord. If not, it's a Discord. It's a Patreon-only special, but then, you know, come in, say hello, get used to them. I reverted to that at times when I came across, say, the 5-backs of the 4-3-2-1. So, you know, are we going to say the 4-3-2-1's now ratty because everybody's doing that and just trying to blitz your opponent? So I had Di Maria playing right back, which on paper is very strange, but he was very effective. He did a job. But yeah, I find it quite fun, to be honest. And I'm now at the point where I'm contemplating seeing if I can work out how to get my main set up into an actual 5-back. If you've got Hakimi and Theo Hernandez as your full-backs, then, you know, there's probably not many better ways of playing it than that. So I need to try and work out if all the players that I have and I want to have can actually make this up into a proper effective one. Because if done right, it's sort of like you say, it's hard to break down, but you can have so many good, especially the 5-4-1. I've seen a few people do the 5-2-1-2, which I find a lot easier to face. But the 5-4-1 is just, it's a nightmare to face. And in all honesty, you don't have to be the best player to use it. So, which is why I guess it's probably more of a variety formation, because you can auto defend on it a lot, but at the same time, it's effective. People are going to do it. There's ways to break it down, which I'm not going to say right now because I don't want people to be able to break my tactic down. But at the same time, there are ways to face up against it. So I enjoy it, to be honest. I never thought I would enjoy it, especially with the players I've got. I've gone quite heavy on the sort of flair and the very good attacking players now at this time of the year. But it's fun. It's great. And I think, I don't think it's going anywhere, to be honest. I don't know how they can patch it to make it less effective just now.
Yeah, it's tricky. I mean, look, the one way I found to break it down was actually to go really narrow. I went 4-1-2-1-2-2 against it. And actually, I was finding that I was overwhelming the players. I had enough runners and things coming, especially if you're playing like 1-2 and triggering enough runs, you've got enough players flooding through the middle that once you break through that line of especially if they're playing 5-3-2, once you break through that line, I actually found I was getting enough space in there and just literally just overloading through the middle. And I wasn't even getting caught too much out wide because I've just got 2 fullbacks on stay back, and that CDM sitting in the middle as well. So it was kind of matching up a little bit, and so that was my way. But again, as with any formation, you know, we can joke about rats and this and that and the other, but it's all how you play it and the different patterns and things you do. So, you know, I am going to continually label it as ratty though, Nath. It is, you know, I've got my rat stamp of disapproval on there, but in all seriousness, please play this game. You want to play it, and just play it to the most enjoyable way you can. And don't get too wound up about how other people want to play the game, because, you know, they've paid the same money you have in most cases. So that wraps up our weekend league experiences. Let's delve into the mailbag again. You can send them in if you're a member of the Discord, patreon.com/footinreview as well. Should also mention, Nate, there is a special promo going on right now.
We do. Today's the last day for 20% off our foot coaching, foot and review merch, which is wonderful. Patrons get an extra 5% off that as well in June and July, which is brilliant. We've also got good discounts on the coaching as well. We still have as many individual sessions as people want. We've got spaces as well for a couple more programs if people want. We've taken that up. There's a special price came on, which John launched. Was it Friday after the show? It's had an amazing uptake. It's been really, really popular. So again, it's not just going to teach you how to use it this game, but the fundamentals and the mechanics of the game, and it's something that you can transfer hopefully onto any further installment of the game. Dan, you've had it, I had it, and I'm unfortunate to be part of the team that helped sort of coach it on as well. But they'll last you. The tips and the advice you get will stay with you. So it's well worth it. I'm not trying to plug it for any other reason than it is a benefit if you can do it.
Yeah, and look, even if money, we absolutely appreciate things like money are tight. Even if you end up having like one session or something like that, I can say that I've only had I tend to have like one session a year, and it's just the advice and stuff you get from that feedback from one session has been so invaluable. That's the reason my rankings going up. I said the fact I got 14 wins on my second account has nothing to do with the fact that I've got Messi on my main account. It's got everything to do with learning and getting my mechanics better, learning about myself and my own game and my bad habits of dragging people out of position and stuff like that. So can highly endorse footcoaching.com for all the information on that. But let's finish off with the mailbag, Nath. We're going to start with our main man, Shack Attack. He says, chaps, Vinny or Nay, who do you think will have a better impact in game and more fun? And he also says, attack, midfield or defense, which area is the most important to spend as much as you can getting the best players in? So very quickly, Vinny or Neymar?
Use both. It's fully depends on the position. Vinny, it's got that explosive speed. So if you're the L1 sprint merchant, then Vinny, absolutely. But if you're a bit more intricate, Neymar moves differently. The way he pulls off the skills is just unreal. So if you're a pure pace merchant, Vinny. But again, if you're a bit more of a skiller, a bit more of a tiki-taka, then Neymar's the one for you.
Yeah, I think if you're purely looking at who's going to get you more wins, I would say it's Vinny. Who's going to have more fun, I would probably say Neymar. I still maintain what I said in last week's show. Was it last week's or 2 weeks ago where I said Vinny's the most fun player I've used? Mm-hmm. Now the chance to use that new Neymar, though, so I will put that caveat in. And on his second point, where do you think is most important to spend your coins, Nath? Attack, midfield or defence?
Probably attack, because you'll overpower them, whereas midfielders, there's so many similar midfielders there now, but you can see the attackers are the ones where the value in the coins are being held, and that's for a reason. They are the game changers, whereas there's midfielders out there and defenders out there that are very, very good and are better, but there's also so many of them now that are like for like. So I would say your attackers, any of the across the attacking formations are probably the best one for me. But what do you think, Dan?
Yeah, I fully agree. I think your central attackers are my number one priority. Then I actually think it's your central defenders. I think getting a truly elite centre-back, someone like Team of the Season, Virgil van Dijk, is going to be, Team of the Year, sorry, is going to be much more important than having even, say, Team of the Year or Team of the Season, Kevin De Bruyne or a Bellingham in there. I just think they will make that big difference. But yeah, the guys that are putting the ball in the back of the net, easily number one, then your central defenders, then probably your CMs, and then it's all about the wide players. And I think the lowest priority for me, especially in this year, is goalkeeper and fullbacks. I think there are so many of them, and they're all much of a muchness. Yeah, there are obviously elite versions in all those positions, but I think you can get away a lot more with having cheaper players. Let's move on. Robert says, mechanics question. I know we're not supposed to be pressing sprint when attacking, unless you have space to run into. Is this the same concept when defending? Nath, I throw this one to you.
Yes, absolutely. If you've got space where you need to go straight back, then by all means sprint. But especially, when you use the jockey, if you're using sprint and jockey, the two of them together, we describe it a bit like a magnet when you've got the opposite sides of the magnet where they kind of push you away or you do kind of weird movements. So if you're in close proximity, don't sprint. Use the jockey. The jockey's probably the most overpowered sort of defender tool you've got just now. So stand them up and jockey rather than sprint. Otherwise, you'll be dragged out. Yeah,
absolutely. As my doorbell rings, wow, the magic of editing. As my home doorbell rang, and I've had to sprint up and down stairs to get that door answered. But we will finish with Talking Foot. He says, "How can I not qualify for champs? But I just played someone with reds all over the place and beat him in rivals." Nath?
Pressure. If you lose a game in rivals, then you've got the next one to go. You get, was it 9-10 games in qualifiers and champs? you're only limited. It's the same as the cup as well. So there's extra pressure, extra incentive. People are also playing differently in these other modes. They're either trying to get the rage quit or just trying to do different things. Whereas in Rivals, it's probably the sweatiest in terms of try hards. For the overall game, you do it in champs or the qualifiers, or whatever. Some people are doing it for the first 30 minutes and then they realize the stamina's going to go and they have to change the way they play. But Rivals is very much more, good players trying to get better and get higher up. So I think it's purely a pressure thing. Just breathe, play the ball back, keep possession, do something, keep it safe, and don't get rattled. Because we're all guilty of, if people are in those pressure situations and you do one thing wrong, your head goes, and then all of a sudden one thing going wrong leads to a goal, leads to a sending off, leads to a rage quit. So that's probably the biggest thing for me.
Yeah, absolutely. Break your games down more in terms of when you play them. Especially try and finish on wins as well if you can. Try and keep that positive headspace going. It all does. It's such a mental thing. It is all about the pressure that you put yourself under, that expectation of I'm struggling to qualify for champs, and that feeling as soon as you go behind of, oh God, it's happening again. I've absolutely been there in weekend leagues and in rivals and everything, so I can absolutely understand why you get into it. But take that confidence from beating somebody with those team of the season, team of the year players. Just think, I can do this. Treat every game as if it's a one-off. Don't worry that you're 0-3 or 4-2 or whatever you are. Just treat it as, well, I'm 0-0 in your head. Try and ignore the situation you're in. And just, as Nate said, play every game on its merits. But look, that is going to wrap up the show this week. Thank you very much to everyone who submitted in questions. Thank you to you, Nath, for joining us. As always, the show will return. There's a little bit of a scheduling question. John is away this weekend. I have got work commitments. So we're trying to see if we can try and get a show out on Friday. We're expecting it to be Ultimate Team of the Season. So a lot of the players we've already discussed over the past few weeks anyway. So go back and listen to all of our Friday shows. But look, we'll try and get a show out. There is a potential, maybe Grandpapa Mac may host a show, but I don't want to promise something that's definitely not coming out. Regardless, we'll have a show either at the back end of the weekend or the start of next week covering all the things with Ultimate Tots if we don't get that show out on Friday. So stay tuned for that, and apologies if we do miss the Friday show. Nath, where can people find you online?
Twitter is NJ Downs, and then our phenomenal Discord at Nathan Downs.
Yeah, I'm at Wimby on Twitter, Wimby86 on Twitch as well. Thank you very much indeed for joining us. One thing left to do, Nath.
Drop it.
We're going to drop it.
Drop it.
F-U.
T.
F-U.
T.
F-F-F-U.
T.
F-U. T.
T.
T. In the view. F-U.
T.